this little beauty sitting next to me, Anna Wrobel. All right. You're a sweetheart.
Not that little.
You're easy. You're easy on the eyes. Oh, that's a pleasure.
But I'm not that little.
Yeah. Listen, I was just looking at Mark a while ago.
That's not nice. Okay.
It's true.
Hey, listen, you know what's worse is when I look at myself in the mirror, so. But anyway, seriously, Anna
Yeah, seriously.
has been writing poetry for 10 years.
Oh, much more than
She's, well,
30 years
actually practicing poetry for 10 years. Columbia educated, is a teacher of history and conflict resolution, which we'll get into in a little while. All right, and but I'll tell you what really interests me is how diversified she is. I mean, we're talking not only theater, farming, house construction, handicraft. My God, throwing the poet on top of it, and by the way, there is a lot more, but we just don't have enough time in this show. Anna, welcome to the show, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Tom.
And you're going to have to give us a little background on this.
A little background?
Yeah, I mean,
let's see.
where your interests come from and so on. I don't know what to ask you first. It's really easy for you to tell.
Oh, gee, it's really hard to say. I mean, I've kind of like done things in cycles. I left college without finishing college, went off to live in the woods, got married, had 2 kids, built houses, worked in the theater, did a lot of farming, traveled to other countries, came back, finished school, went on for my master's and PhD, etc., etc., etc. I don't know where to begin.
All I know is that was a great lead-off poem.
I don't know where to begin.
Wasn't that a great poem?
That's what you call, that's a nutshell.
You led the life we all expected to lead.
That's right. I guess.
Since you led off with a poem like that, give us another one.
Sure. Okay. This is a bit of mythology taken to its psychological conclusions. It was not all right with Isaac that Abraham came to kill him, even so that an angel stayed his father's hand. There would be no more sacrifice of children, whether commanded by the devil or the Lord. Heed not even the voice of God when he tells you to take the life of a child for his glory's sake. In this, we must all of us rebel against the Father. What a bitter test is built into this existence. So Abraham unbound his most precious son, born of his most ancient years. But it was not all right with Isaac that his father came to kill him. And as he left the mount, not once did he look back, nor did he ever see again the one whose seed had gave him life. Abraham watched Isaac's beloved back into the vastest distance, the son himself to become father to a nation. And from Isaac they would learn that it was at times necessary not to heed the Lord, and that it was at times necessary to turn one's back on the Father.
Very nice. And it kind of brings out a question I wanted to ask you about. You've been teaching now for a number of years. What is it, about 8, 9 years?
This is my 9th year teaching in a high school, in a city high
level.
school.
I see some sort of reflection of that in your poetry here.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me your feelings about that. How does that help you in your writing?
Oh, a lot. The kids are inspirational all of the time. Sometimes they find their way into the poetry, but mostly it's because they're teenagers, and I like working with that age. It's for them, it's for my own children that I try to do whatever good work I can in the world. I mean, I know it sounds really almost chintzy and clichéic, but literally I work extremely hard to spread as much light as possible, because the kids I teach have a lot of chaos going on in their lives. And
yes.
So I teach them how to resist the oppression as much as possible. And that's really a big part of my life and a big part of my work.
We've had other teachers on the show, and basically you go through at their ages saying, today the children aren't sheltered. They're exposed to the world at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
So when they reach that high school level, all right, they've already sampled, which took their parents until their 30s
Yes.
and 40s to reach. All right, so
In some
imagine
levels, yes.
it's very tough. all right, because you've got a very sharp and wise audience out there.
Well, I love that age. I can remember being 16 better than I can remember being 32. I mean, I can. It's more immediate to me. I mean, I can conjure it up in detail.
Well, it was a turning point in our lives.
Serious
That's when we
time.
were maturing, going into it. And speaking of going into it, how about another poem?
Sure, and speaking of my kids, at work, actually I'll read one poem that's dedicated to a young man that I work with who is, just went blind a couple of years ago, increasingly a kind of progressive disease. And prior to that, he was an artist, and he needed his eyes, and now he's transforming himself. He's finding that he has a gift with poetry, and I'm glad to say I have a little something to do with that. And this is dedicated to Hassan, and this is called Half-Blind Homeboy. What do you see when you look at me through eyes cast in cotton, swimming in soup thick as chowder? They say you lost your sight just 2 years ago, a fog growing ever denser, no sun from clouds emerge. They say you were an artist of no small talent, needed your eyes, grew depressed, drew within, dreaming only of white shirts, airplanes, and clouds, everyone still as stone. Learning to maneuver hallways and stairways, buses and bullies. You shaved clean your mulatto soft afro down, close to the scalp, shed your winter coat, lightened your load. Float into spring and reawaken with daffodils and tulips of many colors. Colors you can barely see but well remember. They paint your words, poetic words. Art transforms. You blow my mind with your genius, a gift, a bestowal. I open you, and you shower me with breathtaking visions, young, suffered, risen.
With the children, the subject is hard to get away from. As a matter of fact, it's one I really don't want to get away from.
Yeah, I can't get away from it myself.
And, your writing, your students, number one, are aware that you're a writer.
Yes, they are.
All right.
I run all
And,
sorts of poetry workshops in school, so yes, they're very
And
aware.
what do they think? Do they relate to you, as a poet and a writer?
Yes, they do on different levels. I bring poetry workshop into the classes that I do. I've used poetry in everything from American history to these conflict resolution classes that I do. I also run a poetry workshop for some very serious students of poetry who stay after school. They're that serious about it. So
yeah.
yes, the kids do. And I've also been invited to be a guest lecturer or guest teacher in various classrooms, both in social studies and in English classes, to do a number of works that I've written on the Holocaust, and it's been the centerpiece for a number of lessons, both in European history and in English classes as well.
that's
They've even
great.
used my poetry when I've not been there. The teachers ask permission. So yeah.
You're there in spirit also.
Yeah, I'm sort of the resident poet of the school, even though I'm not an English teacher.
That's great. That's great. Children of the world, they're the future adults. I mean, if they don't get their act together early, we're in for a lot of hell. And I'll tell you the truth, I'd rather see hell after I'm gone. Not that I want to, but it may be good party time.
Nah,
Who
you
knows?
won't be in hell. Nah, you're too good a guy to be in hell, right?
I'll cut that out. Blush easy.
Well, I don't believe in hell anyway, so.
But meanwhile, how about another poem?
Sure. Speaking of hell, this is, I guess it boils down to being an anti-war poem that came upon me, flooded upon me when I was visiting the national, I guess it's a park of sorts, Antietam battlefield down in Maryland, where 60,000 troops, young boys really from both the North and the South, died in 2 days. That's more than all the American soldiers died in Vietnam in 10 years. So 60,000 young men just lost their lives on these fields, and their anguish and their blood just comes up right through your feet. And this poem, this anti-war poem, came to mind as I stood on that battlefield. And this is just called simply At Antietam Battlefield. A hush and a mist descends on me as on these rolling waves of land. A quiet, as perhaps on that September day. A munching brown cow and ghost-colored horse, flipping mane, swishing tail. A superconscious being, it seems. Small white brick church of Dunker brethren, Germans of a gentler soul. The wounds and screams seep up and out from every floorboard, pew, and stone. Cry for grass that is too green, made lush by bursting death of youth. Blood and semen and human waste feed the soil from life to death to life again, but without joy the dance and song. Stone monuments of sober flight, cast plaques with regimental names. Who fell here and who fell there under these enormous skies? Vermont, New York, and Texas boys, so far from home on Maryland's ground. And Maryland's sons, so split and sundered, facing each other as cannons thundered on this most lovely of the planet's earth, where scattered farmhouses exist just to feed our mouths with milk and corn. On both sides, our young sons fell, too young to understand it at all. The political economy, the cultural hegemony, the market shares versus humanity, they only knew that they were called. And like young boys, since time did start, taught to take up arms as manly art, scared through to the bone and frozen to the heart. They walked wide open into the murder of old men's infanticide, their jealousy of youthful vigor, of cocks which may still rouse and rise. Gave these sons their last erection, adrenal rush of final fear. They jerked themselves to one last great coming in their grief and sorrow, masks of pain. Hold fast to property, nothing ventured, nothing gained, while young men shriek their battle hate into the mirrors of their own face. And fall in seconds, mother's image settles into deepest space. Child dream flows out like desert water, a rope swing on a big old tree. Sky rolls back and forth in dizzy vision, like angels come to carry thee.
Ooh. I don't think we have to comment on that. It says it all. Nice and clear. What do you think, Mark?
That was absolutely moving.
Thank you. No, it was a stirring place. I can't get it out of my mind, actually. It's quite a place. It was in the blood.
That's the beauty of our, and we don't have to write a novel to let it out. Yeah.
I locked myself in a toilet that night, and I sat on top of the
throne room.
I swear,
The throne room.
well, I was visiting a friend in Maryland, and I didn't have much privacy,
Plenty
and I
of
just
paperwork
locked
with
myself in the bathroom.
Hey, listen, it's the throne room. Say no more. Do you have a real short
Yes.
one? We're running in. I want to slip in
Sure,
one more quickie.
sure. I've got a short one. Let's see. Oh, sure. How about something a little more joyous? Spring.
Well, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, why not? We've all been waiting for spring to come, and it's still a little chilly, so I'll dedicate this to spring coming upon us. Between the chill, warm days intrude, evidence of spring not far away. Dressed too lightly for the morning frost, anticipating balmy afternoons. Soon we will walk swiftly with smiles in the city, and lingering make love in the country. Warmer days, shining waves, days when a single cotton skirt is all that stands between me and you.
All right. Yes, very good. Yeah, can't thank you two guys enough. Anna Wrobel, Mark Desmond. I mean, gave us a great show today. Yeah, and tell me your views.
My views?
Yeah, we got
My views about what?
Yeah.
My views, we got to get it together, and we got to get it together fast. And greed is nowhere, and we really got to start working together if this planet is going to be a reality, as I do believe it is. But that's it for me. That's all I got to say.
Mark?
Well, once again, Anna said it all.
And it's easy to listen to.
This man's got a lot to say, and
Yeah.
beautiful things to say.
It's, like I said, it's been a great show, and I want to thank Martine here at La Pomme for allowing us to be here. And listen, what else can I say except I enjoyed? Looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing you on the circuit.
Yes.
And good night, folks.
Good night.
Right.